Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name is Matt.
My name is Dyl, and we are continuing with our series of, post-fest predictions. This time, we are all the way down to the crafts. It's crazy how quickly this game can just change up, because the last time that we did craft predictions were before the fall film festivals like TIFF, New York, Venice. And
right
I feel like a
Dune
lot has
pushed.
changed, because obviously, like you said, Dune is gone. A lot of people have seen most of these movies now. So, we kind of know what the buzz is, and I feel like some of these categories, while they aren't final, obviously, we have a ways to go until nomination morning. We know, 3 of our nominations most likely in, most of these categories today.
Things are just clearing up all over the place. We're getting the Gothams.
They do.
Anytime. By the time this video comes out, the Gotham nominations will be out, so we'll know a little bit more about, not the state of the race, because the Gothams don't matter, but they're our first nominations, our first real film ball points.
Yeah, and I feel like the big major thing to change since our last predictions is Killers of the Flower Moon. It's been seen by most people who want to see it. Yeah. We have both seen it now. A review is coming out later in the week, as well as a Martin Scorsese tier list. Those are going to play into a part of our predictions today. We've both seen the movie. Is it rising or is it dropping in these categories?
I'm curious to see where you're putting it in some of these, because I'm overall less confident in it now that I've actually seen the film.
American Fiction, on top of winning TIFF, just won the Middleburg Film Festival, which I saw a stat earlier today. The movie to win their People's Choice Award has done pretty well in the Best Picture race as well. So another little stat to backpile for American Fiction jump up into the race. And if you're watching this, I think this video comes out on Wednesday, maybe. I see American Fiction on Thursday, so they will be a vlog out there of my initial reactions to that movie. So definitely consider dropping a subscription down below. You can see my thoughts. Matt already has his here on the channel.
I'm so excited for you to see that movie. It feels like very Dylan core. Whatever Dylan core is, whatever that means, I think you're going to enjoy it. So anyways, let's jump right in. You're going to be taking production design this week, so walk us through your lineup. What do you got in here?
I haven't really had much movement in this category in the last month. I do my predictions at the top of each month unless stuff is going on. Basically, going here forward, I'll have them weekly or bi-weekly because we have some nominations coming out in these coming weeks. But still at number 1, I do have Barbie. I've heard the acclaim for Poor Things. I heard it's rising up the Best Picture race, but I just think Barbie at the minimum is walking with a production design and it's walking with costumes. Does it get more? Maybe, but I don't think it's going without both of these. We saw the raves when this movie came out. I understand the Poor Things argument. I just think that could go more towards the other direction, like maybe director, maybe cinematography, but production design, I think, stays Barbie at this top slot. I've now seen Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer. They both kind of do the same things. I could see one of them miss, but at the moment I have them both in because they are both recreating sets, bringing them to life, building them from scratch, putting the plot of land, and I had them at my number 3 and 4. And you know what? Let's be crazy. Napoleon, number 5. I saw that brand new trailer in front of Killers of the Flower Moon, and it looks very grand in scope. We have battle scenes, we have palaces. There's an angle here. If this movie's not awful, this could be an additional nomination to maybe makeup, maybe costumes, maybe visual effects. Obviously, this is probably touching above the line, but Apple maybe can push this thing up. But obviously, if this is a dumpster fire, it's getting nothing. But at the moment, I don't think it'll be a complete dumpster fire. So it's like a very fringe number 5. I want to be bold a little bit, but if I want to be, in line with a lot of other people, Color Purple, it's right there. Wonka, Asteroid City, Maestro, Zone of Interest. Maybe, but like I said, crazy stuff. Napoleon, number 5.
I disagree with Barbie being 1. I don't think we need to see Barbie take production design and costume design, but rather that I think it's going to split between the two of them. Now, which way it splits, that's a whole other issue. I do think Poor Things is probably the one that takes production design while Barbie takes costumes, because the costumes are so intrinsic to Barbie, whereas the production design in Poor Things is so grand and futuristic and gothic in a very surreal way. It just looks so out of this world strange. And in any other year, I'd say, yeah, Barbie's just gonna walk away with it. But Poor Things is not your average period piece movie. It really is not. I was going to make the comparison to Black Panther: The Favorite, where Black Panther won both of those prizes, but Poor Things is a different beast from The Favorite entirely. Like in The Favorite, they could just basically walk into those rooms and film. It makes sense why it lost production design to Black Panther. Whereas here, you've got the Yorgos Lanthimos crazy film up against the billion-dollar movie. And in this case, I do think the Yorgos Lanthimos will emerge victorious in the production design category. Barbie could still take it. We could just see that sweep. But Poor Things is too strong to, like, just win one prize. I don't see it just taking actress.
That's where I'm different at the moment. I do believe in the Poor Things Best Picture hype, but it's not my Best Picture winner at the moment. So because of that, right now I have Poor Things walking away with actress, and I have it walking away with cinematography. I have it getting 2 wins on the night, same as Barbie.
You don't have Barbie for original screenplay?
Oh yeah, duh. Barbie's winning original screenplay. Yeah. So Barbie has 3.
Like, damn, what?
You do, yeah, thank you. Clear.
Production design? Okay.
Yeah, costume, production, and screenplay for Barbie. 3 wins. Sounds pretty good. But yeah, like I said, Poor Things is a clear number 2. Barbie, Poor Things, one of those is your winner. And honestly, Killers or Oppie, one could miss. But I want to see reactions for Color Purple. I want Wonka to come out and look as grand as it does in the trailer. Maestro, I see it. By the time this video is out, I would have seen Maestro. So maybe Maestro can hop up here like I talked about in last week's technical predictions, where it could be like a easy slide to number 5 of this is a bigger Best Picture player than where it stands in the cards right now.
Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer both feel relatively safe. The work that they're doing in those movies isn't anything we haven't seen before. It's just really well done. I would say, though, probably Oppenheimer is less safe. If we were to see one of those 2 movies get snubbed, it would be Oppie because it's a little bit more sparse, whereas Killers of the Flower Moon, like, the amount of stuff that they built for that movie is just ridiculous. Now, number 5, yeah, Napoleon could swap out with The Color Purple. It all depends on how that movie goes down. Both of those movies, how they go down. Same with Wonka. Really, any of those movies could occupy that 5th slot. It just depends on how the reviews come out. If one movie is terribly received, I would say it probably doesn't have the edge over the other 2. I do find it really interesting that you've got Asteroid City here at number 8, because I know you've been historically very unconfident in that movie.
I mean, I still am unconfident, but I've heard you debate that it's at least going to be in the 10. And I feel like we're far enough in the year where I've had other contenders drop off the list. We're like, yeah, of course they're not getting in. So Asteroid City can now be in my 10, even if it's nowhere ever going to be in my 5. But it's one of those next in line. But like you said, if Napoleon's awful, Color Purple's not well received, Wonka is just commercial play, Zone of Interest is too weird, Maestro, no. I guess Asteroid City's next up in line.
Or Priscilla, which is one that you don't have on your list at the moment. And Priscilla feels like one that could end up being in the cards, at least. I wouldn't put it very high, but it's worth considering. Especially if we're considering it for costume design, if we're considering it for actress, then production design's not too far off.
I would agree. Priscilla is a movie I'm higher on than you. This is kind of in that Maestro range, Zone of Interest range, where if they like the movie, it can rise up. But that Napoleon, Color Purple, Wonka, I feel like one of those is our 5. It's just we haven't seen them, so they're all in a row there. But like once they're seen, they drop. Priscilla moves up.
Now let's move over to the makeup and hairstyling category. I'm going to be taking this week. I'm torn on this. I got the direction I want to go, and I got the direction that everyone is screaming at me to go. And I think I'm going to lean with everyone else is screaming at me that it's just going to do the thing, rather than saying what I want it to be. Because I would love for Poor Things to take makeup. But unfortunately, I do think that they're going to do what they often do and give it to the biopic that has a lot of prosthetic makeup. At number 1, I'm leaning Maestro as the winner. It feels like Gary Oldman all over again, or even The Whale.
Every movie you're listing also one actor. So unless you have Cooper at 1, which maybe you do now, I think Maestro wins makeup and hairstyling if Cooper's your number 1. But if you have anyone else at number 1, then there's room for Poor Things to be your number 1.
I need to see the movie, but everyone that has been seeing the movie has been saying Bradley Cooper is doing so much that he's got to win here. And to be honest, after seeing Killers of the Flower Moon, it's not Leo. Cillian Murphy is still definitely in the cards. Bradley Cooper has much more of an overdue narrative, and while they might like Oppenheimer more, I think his performance is baitier than Cillian Murphy's. The other competition would be Coleman Domingo, but that just feels like a long shot now because of how much people just don't really like the movie.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I see Maestro and Rustin this week, so hopefully I can add more thoughts to both of their performances. But like I said before, I think if Maestro is your actor winner, it wins makeup. If you have Coleman Domingo, if you have Cillian Murphy, then there's room for Poor Things to pull off the upset, because I think it goes back to last year as well. If Austin Butler was taking the Oscar, Elvis would take makeup and hairstyling. If it was The Whale and Brendan Fraser, then that takes makeup and hairstyling. And then if it was neither of them, like Colin Farrell, then it would be Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
And I'd love for it to be Poor Things this year because the makeup in that looks spectacular on Willem Dafoe, as well as what they did with some of the animals in it, and the way that they transformed Emma Stone and made her look so disconcertingly young. It looks incredible, but how often do they go for that monstery makeup? I think the last time was probably Suicide Squad.
This is a weird category because usually if there's an actor contender, they also win their category and win this. And then when there's no actor contenders here, they go off the rails like with Suicide Squad. And I'm sure I'm blanking on some other ones.
But that's my 1-2. Now I'm going to go to one that I think is a lock for a nomination, which is my number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I do think this is locked. Does it have any chance to win? Absolutely not. The amount of makeup that they did in this, especially on Other Earth, I can't remember the name of the Earth that they go to, that's all the animals, but that was all actually done. The prosthetic work on the villain whose name escapes me. I didn't find this movie too memorable, clearly. What is his name? The man with the skin mask. I can't remember. The Torture Man. Torture Man is what I'll call him. There's so much great makeup work in this movie. And personally, I think this would be my winner until I see Poor Things. Guardians of the Galaxy is my winner in the category. After that, I'm not confident in this prediction.
I see something spicy that I love.
Yeah, you inspired me with the spicy thing.
Yes,
but before we get to the spice at number 5, at number 4, I'm going Oppenheimer. I feel like this movie can get in on the general buzz around this movie, as well as the aging work that they did to Cillian Murphy, the way that they aged him down for the college stuff, aged him up through the film, and how through the use of makeup, you can keep track of where you are in the story at all times. It's really good use of makeup, and I think there's only 1 or 2 scenes where you are kind of taken out by the use of makeup, and it's when he's receiving his prize, and everyone looks like so distractingly weird because it's just bad old age makeup instead of good old age makeup. But for the most part, the aging that's done in this movie is really well done, and this category loves them some aging makeup. I feel very good about Oppenheimer here. Not 100%, which is why it's pretty low in my category. And here's my spicy one. I'm taking Golda as my number 5. Yeah. You convinced me on this, Dylan, last time. It's a biopic that has Helen Mirren being caked up in makeup.
Caked up Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren absolutely has that cake. Can we say that? I don't know if we can say that. But she has so much makeup. Regardless of whether people like the movie, this is the makeup branch. They do not give a shit whether people like this movie.
Coming to America.
Hate to say it, are they going to make a really bold and maybe misguided political statement?
Maybe.
They have that opportunity with a movie about Golda. While it might be a piece of shit movie from everything I've heard, it is doing well in the box office.
I think Golda at minimum is making the short list. How far it goes from there, that's up to your free will. But if you have a list of 10, why not throw it in? Because we've seen wilder movies make the short list. I mean, we saw last year Blonde, which is mainly just hair and a little bit of makeup make the short list when people hated that movie. So, Golda could as well. But this is another category, like I mentioned at the top of this episode, where we feel good about a top 3. I think Oppenheimer is a great shout. Golda, I agree with as well. But your number 6 is what I would have in over Oppenheimer currently. But I agree with your case for Oppenheimer, where I could easily see them switch.
I'll tell you why I don't have Barbie. They don't care about hair in this category.
They don't care about hair?
Evidently. And I know you always say they'll give hair a nomination, not a win. I disagree. They don't give hair a nomination. And there's not enough makeup outside of Kate McKinnon, Weird Barbie, to get in here. That's just the sad truth. The hair work that they do in Barbie is incredible. I just don't think that they do enough with the face. And that's what it's all about in this category. Also, again, it's the makeup branch. They be absolutely crazy. Are they really gonna go 5 for 5 with movies that are getting nominated in other categories? I don't know if I buy that.
Your top 6, I think we can at least agree on as a top 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, that's where I think some more variance comes in, as we talked about above. But let's hear the rest of your list here.
Okay, I'll do the rest of my list and just a little argument for each of them. Napoleon. You seen how ugly they all look? They
Dirty
look like
boys.
shit. They absolutely look like shit. They're caked up in mud. It's caked up Joaquin Phoenix. From the trailers, it looks like they're doing a lot there. Then at number 8, I have Killers of the Flower Moon. And the main argument for this is the sickness. The way that they show the progression of these people getting sicker and sicker, specifically Lily Gladstone, because we see her so full of life at the beginning, and we see that kind of drained out of her as the film goes on. That's the main argument for Killers of the Flower Moon. There's really no other argument, because even the, oh, they made Leo ugly isn't like as big of a thing as with
teeth.
Napoleon. Yeah, it's the teeth accentuating the wrinkles. And then number 9, The Little Mermaid. Now, the argument here would be Melissa McCarthy as Ursula and the sort of drag makeup that was done on her to create that character. But the killer of Little Mermaid for me is the fact that the hair was all CGI.
Yeah.
I don't think that this branch is going to like that. Maybe it gets shortlisted, but the second they talk about how they used visual effects to do the hair, they're done. They're not getting.
That's such a weird decision to make too. Like, I feel that's something super easy to do. Like, yeah, it costs money, but
no, I get it because they were dry filming everything, and to make hair act as though it's floating around in the water.
That's true.
When
you're
not underwater. If they were filmed it like Avatar: The Way of Water, then sure. But because they weren't, they had to do some things like that. It would have looked so weird otherwise. But they're not James Cameron. And then finishing off the 10, I've got Wonka for Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa. Does he look good? I don't think so, but we might as well mention it. Maybe Wonka's not the 10. What could replace it? I guess Priscilla. I don't know how much makeup is being used in Priscilla, but it's worth mentioning for being a glamorous kind of Elvis movie. It's a Sofia Coppola movie. I feel like she'd have some really excellent hair use in that film, but again, hair does not get nominations. The color purple, I'm not seeing a lot of makeup in the trailer. I'm not seeing a lot of stuff that goes like, oh, wow, they're doing a lot with that. Nothing's really jumping off the page to me. And then 2 kind of bonkers shout-outs, which could make the short list, but definitely will not be nominated, would be John Wick Chapter 4, because there are a lot of prosthetics being used in that movie, especially the guy that he fights in the club. He is in a massive, like, brick wall suit, and he's got the grills. That man has a ton of makeup on. And finally, Talk to Me definitely could be our Crimes of the Future shortlist mention. I'm not going to count on that because it's a little indie horror movie. If you've seen it, like we have, you know that this absolutely deserves a makeup shout out, because god damn.
I fully agree. I think if you're looking for a hair movie to put in your 10, Priscilla, Color Purple could overtake like Little Mermaid, for example, where I don't know if they're really going to touch that for the reasons that you gave. So I feel like switching one of those out for Little Mermaid makes sense. Best costume design. It's usually things that pop the most in all of these movies. And that's why, just like in production design, I have Barbie at number 1. The outfits, the costumes, Kens, Barbies, even Alan, they all pop off the screens instantly recognizable, and I feel like that's so important in this category, is to have outfits that people can name off the top of their head. Poor Things, it's going to have great costumes, but are you going to see people out there in Halloween costumes? No, you're not, but it's a very solid number 2. Same argument for production design, cares over here to costume. I understand why you want to switch, but for me personally, I'm not going to switch until at least I see it, and at least we get to Guild season. Then that brings the rest of the list. This is the one category of the day that we're talking about where I don't think there's a solid 3. I think there's just a solid 2. And from here on out, there is a lot of options. Currently, I have Wonka in at number 3. However, a solo costume movie seems a little weird, but it's so instantly recognizable. They're doing something a little bit different with it. And if this movie is a hit, it could get in here with costumes, just like I talked about with production design a little bit before. We do have the same usual suspects, Color Purple, Napoleon, in the same range with, like, if they're good, yeah. If they're not, get them out of here. But currently, I do have Priscilla in at my number 4. I think if this movie does connect with the Academy, we could see costumes, we could see actors, and we could see hair and makeup. A nice little trio package. There's a chance that it's a Sofia Coppola movie. The Academy sometimes just doesn't connect with it. So it'll be interesting to see how this movie goes the rest of award season. So that's my top 6. I feel like we have 4 nominees in the 6. It's just like which one of the 4 is here as our number 3 and our number 4.
You have a great point with Barbie in the iconic nature of the costumes. They've already caught on as like instantly recognizable. You can see a costume from this movie and go, that's the Barbie movie. They did such great work with this, especially drawing from the wardrobe of iconic Barbie outfits that people know from across the years. Barbie, to me, feels like a runaway winner. No matter how big Poor Things is, I think that Barbie wins here. Now, I did say Poor Things takes production design. I think there's some competition between Barbie and Poor Things in production design. I don't think that there's any competition here. It's just Barbie's to lose at this point. But maybe we see Poor Things and go, oh, no, that's a costume winner. We've heard some people say that. I've definitely seen a few people switch to Poor Things as their costume design winner. But I think Barbie has to win at least one of those two. At least one. It could win two, but it's definitely not winning zero. I guess I'd put Color Purple higher than you've got it now. You've got it at number 5. I would put it at number 3. I feel very confident in the costume design of this movie, even if the film is a total flop. If it's not a major Oscar player, I still think it gets costume design. I mean, have you seen the trailer? Like, the costumes are great, and there's a large variety of costumes, too. There seems to be fantasy sequences where they're wearing these glamorous sequined dresses. That wide variety is something that they love in this category. It's a musical, and musical costumes are so easy to go for. And I suppose that's an argument for Wonka as well, which I think I might actually have the exact same top 5 as you. So
Boom.
Go figure.
We agree. Look at us.
Wow, look at us go. Finally, we agree. But yeah, Wonka makes a lot of sense. From the trailer, it's one of the biggest standouts that we've seen there. The costumes look delightful and vibrant. And Priscilla, it makes sense, especially if we're talking about Kaylee Spaney. Costume design feels like it could be a very easy thing to pull along.
After that, Napoleon, as I mentioned before, if this movie is good, I could see it snag some of these tech nominations, but at the moment, I do have that as my outside looking in compared with Wonka and Color Purple. Killers of the Flower Moon, I think, has a great narrative of some of those movies drop down. Osage outfits are so beautiful and are very detailed, and if you compare pictures, they look exactly like that. I think that could bode well. Just like I said before, I haven't seen these other movies, so I don't know which one to plug out for the moment, but like, let's say Napoleon flops. Wonka's a no good. This slides up. This is our number 5. Little Mermaid, it's number 8. I think it makes the short list, but I don't think it gets into the category itself. Ferrari, maybe. Chevalier, they look good, but as we talked about all year long, this movie is not a contender at all. But I see your suggestions here. Maestro probably should move it up here into the 10. Oppenheimer, I'm going to leave off until that trio of Wonka, Color Purple, Napoleon falls off. Then Oppenheimer can come take one of those slots.
Killers of the Flower Moon is an interesting one because I was really confident before seeing it, but after seeing the movie, I don't feel like it's going to get every single tech nomination.
I agree.
And costume design feels like an easy one to miss comparatively to some of the other categories. But they did a fantastic job with costume design, and The Irishman got a costume design nomination, and they were doing much less than they were in Killers. So why would Killers miss? And maybe
it's all about
the
competition.
Maybe it's just the competition, that there's more competition this year, but I don't know. I could go either way very easily with Killers of the Flower Moon. But what would it take out? I would say Wonka?
Yeah, it's one of those movies that aren't as good when they come out. Like if Wonka's just not an awards player, Napoleon's a flop, Color Purple. I feel like Color Purple is probably the safest. I think I agree with you. But let's say Wonka, Napoleon are both out of there. We have a 4. We need a 5. Is that Killers of the Flower Moon? Is that Maestro? Is it Ferrari?
It could still just not perform with audiences or be absolutely loathed by Elvis fans and get nothing but negative buzz. So, yeah, I mean, Killers could knock out either Wonka or Priscilla from your top 5. And, yeah, I mean, I don't think I would put any of your bottom 3 here. Little Mermaid, Ferrari, Chevalier. Maestro, if I'm not wrong, I think Maestro's Mark Bridges, and he is he's a legend at the Oscars. He's always there for basically everything, and having him on your film kind of means you should put it in costume design, unless it's Licorice Pizza, which he really should have gotten in for that one.
I mean,
too.
I can see the Licorice Pizza snub. It's not as showy type of stuff as what Maestro might be.
Maybe. I love the costumes in Licorice Pizza, but Maestro, I would say at least it's over The Little Mermaid. And Oppenheimer, I hear that you don't want to put this in as much as some people are now predicting it a lot. I agree. I think it would be a shit nomination. It would be awful. It would just
Fedor, though.
A blatant over-nomination of this film because people just like the movie. It's just people in suits. But you know what else was people in suits that got nominated? The Irishman. And just for the size of the movie, I would say it should be over Chevalier. It should be over Ferrari. Around the same level as The Little Mermaid.
Just give it some shout-outs to some other movies, but we have a category here where, honestly, when we talk about a top 3 being safe, this category has one movie that's safe, and everything else is a giant question mark. And that one movie, I'll let you say what it is, but it is Best Original Score.
And Best Original Score, I would describe with one word, which is clusterfuck. What's happening here? I don't know. I mean, has this been an underwhelming year for score?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I think I would say it has been. Have I had some scores that I've absolutely adored this year? Definitely. But is there anything that's jumping out to me as like this has to be a winner? Not really.
I think
I
think there's a case. Level. At least for me, I think there's 2 scores. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I want this to win. The crazy thing with this category is, though, honestly, predicting anything until the shortlist is put out is kind of insane, because last year we had like 2 predicted nominees just miss the shortlist entirely.
Yeah, and that type of thing happens all the time. Which way is it going to go? I don't know for sure, but I think we can all agree that Oppenheimer is winning this category. It feels guaranteed at this point. On a personal level, I don't love the score for Oppenheimer, although I've definitely grown a little bit fonder on it with repetition, because it plays in the background of every single fucking TikTok about, like, mind-blowing facts now. And I've kind of grown on it more than I did when I first heard the score. Is it my favorite win? No, it's not my favorite win. I would take All Quiet over Oppenheimer's score.
Hot, spicy takes.
Ooh, spicy takes.
I'm looking at your list right now, and your list is so chaotic. There's like 2 movies in here that I don't know if even would be top 10.
Yeah, it's going to be wild.
Let's hear 2 and 3.
If Oppenheimer is number 1, and nothing else kind of comes close in a category where we have no idea what the hell's happening, you know what I want to do? I want to go absolutely wild. And I'm going to put The Boy and the Heron at number 2. Before y'all get in the comments saying, oh, he's just making, this isn't a prediction, it's a hope diction. No, I actually think that there is a way that this happens. At the very beginning of the year, I had Boy and the Heron at my number 1 in score, and what I was saying is there is a big argument that Joe Hisaishi, the composer of this, gets this sort of overdue narrative. He's never been nominated for any of his music, and his music is absolutely iconic when it comes to Studio Ghibli films. With The Boy and the Heron, his score is truly incredible. And in a year that is so destitute from scores, in a year where most of our Best Picture frontrunners don't have great scores, I could easily see critics groups making a huge push and saying, let's give it to Joe Hisaishi. I could see him being the critic frontrunner, picking up everything. And when you see The Boy and the Heron at a film festival, they hand out a press package to you, and beside Hayao Miyazaki, they have the composer. They know that this composer is so meaningful to this film, and with this film getting a bit of a larger push, with the momentum behind it, I do think that there's a big argument for it to get into score. Mm-hmm. And then the other one that I think you would say is not top 10 is Poor Things. I don't know where you're hearing stuff, but I'm hearing that this has an excellent score with a great theme, which we're hearing in the trailers as well, that sort of childish tone. It sounds like it's being played on like toy instruments. Maybe it's not the thing that gets mentioned the most about the film, but in a year with so few great options, we might as well say that Poor Things can get in on the back of being strong and having a score.
I'm all for chaotic. I'm all for being different than other people. You'll see that when we get to song in the next category. At least to me, last year was desolate in score as well. Outside of Babylon, no one really knew what to do, where to award, and we just got generic Best Picture nominees across the board. Pinocchio was right there, doesn't get in. And at the end of the day, they just went Best Picture number 2, which was All Quiet, which Oppenheimer is that right here, Best Picture number 1. So, Boy and the Heron, I get your angle, but last year just shows us they don't care for animation. And then for Poor Things, maybe I misheard Justin on the call, but I felt like Justin said the visual effects are just in the trailer and the score is very minimal. Maybe I misunderstood what he said. He said, oh, the score's a lot. But I felt like on that call that we had, he was like, oh yeah, the score is just not really there. So to me, I was like, oh, well, the score, let's move it down. It's still my 10. It's like number 7, but it's out of my 5.
I don't think we can use Pinocchio missing last year as an indication of animation being out in this category, when Encanto was nominated the year before, and before that, Soul won the award. As much as that was a shocking snub, I think that's more just Alexandre Desplat, because he's been snubbed so many years in a row. I don't know. I just think that The Boy and the Heron has a career narrative going for it. And to your point about last year, they didn't just nominate Best Picture movies, because if they were doing that, Women Talking would have been in there.
Well, they did 4 out of 5 Best Picture, and the 4 that they did were the 4 frontrunners. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Babylon, which somehow didn't win the award.
Maybe. But what Best Picture nominees this year really have?
You're right.
scores?
I'll give you Poor Things now. So yeah, I agree with Poor Things. I don't want to harp on Boy and the Heron too long because I think it would be a cool nomination. I haven't heard the score myself, but just going off of track record, it seems like something that won't make it in. And I think if they're going to do one animated score, they would do the one that has been making more waves online, which is currently year number 5.
Oh, yeah. Well, I will say, before moving on from Boy and the Heron, I will drop it immediately if critics groups aren't overwhelmingly going for it. If critics groups are like 9 out of 10 times doing Oppenheimer, then I drop Boy and the Heron like a rock. But until then, I keep it in just because it makes sense to me. Until I've been proven wrong, I'll just keep it here anyways. I'm also keeping Past Lives in my top 5 because as much as Past Lives I've seen kind of dropping, the score is so strong. And at my number 5 slot, I'm tossing up between going with the thing that makes sense and the thing that I kind of want to happen. Fuck it, I'll just go with the things that I want at this point because this category is ridiculous and nothing is certain. Instead of saying John Williams will get another legacy nomination for Indiana Jones, which is more likely to happen, we've seen it happen over and over, but I don't want that to happen. So instead, I'm gonna go with my heart here. Instead of following my gut and my brain, I'm gonna go with my heart. And I'm gonna say Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse gets in. Now, is it wild of me to say that 2 animated films get nominated? Absolutely. It's stupid. And I know that. It's not a smart thing to do, but this is Oscar predictions. There's no correct answer here until the nominations get revealed. It's a great score from a movie that is very highly buzzed about, and Sony Pictures is putting in the legwork to try and get this movie remembered through the season. Am I probably going to drop this next week and put Indiana Jones in because I'm trusting my brain instead of my heart? Yeah, I probably will next week. But for now, let's go with the heart.
As I said before, I would have Spider-Man over Boy and the Heron, but once I see it, maybe I flip over. I would have John Williams in, I would knock out Boy and the Heron, and then I would, also going with my heart, take out Past Lives and bring in Killers of the Flower Moon for Robbie Robertson. I no longer have him at my number 1, but I still think he will slide in there for a nomination, partly because the score, I think, is pretty good. I've seen some other raves for it since the movie's come out, but also as a legacy and something for his entire career, which we see with John Williams each and every single year. If Fableman's gotten last year, there's no reason Indy can't, besides Indy's a bomb, but still, the whole thing last year is, oh, this is my last movie, and now he's saying, oh, this is my last movie until Spielberg calls me. So at least I'm going to have it there, but I would love to make it easier for us. Indiana Jones just doesn't make the short list, and then we can just take it off and then treat this category so much simpler.
I will say Killers of the Flower Moon, it is a picture nominee, which often get nominated here. On a personal level, I think the score is the weakest thing about the film. Robbie Robertson, I love his music, I love the band, but his aesthetic to his sound, it's very retro. That felt very anachronistic with what the film was doing. It didn't work on a personal level, and I've definitely seen other people share that sentiment online. I've seen people who feel like you, who have been raving about the score. So maybe I'm just biased, and as more people talk about how much they like the score, I'll kind of push it back in. I feel the exact same way about this score that I did about the Irishman score, which he also did. To me, Killers of the Flower Moon is going just under my top 5 until I'm proven wrong and people come out of the woodwork saying Killers of the Flower Moon is the best score of the year. Maybe I'm wrong in that and I should just say it's a picture nominee so it gets in, but I'm not going to do that yet. After that, I could also cave with Zone of Interest being a picture nominee, but the score is so minimal in the Zone of Interest. It's not trying to be musical, which is kind of Mika Levy's thing. They don't go for that melodic feel. It's much more textural. It's ambience that's meant to make you feel viscerally uncomfortable. And that doesn't seem like the type of score that gets a nomination. Maybe this is a critic favorite, but it certainly will not be an Academy favorite, as much as I know A lot of the people who have seen this film early really love that score. And in the bottom of my top 10, I got American Fiction at number 9. It's got a nice bit of a jazzy score to it. I don't know for sure if this was composed for the movie or if it's using pre-existing tracks, but from what I heard when I saw the movie, it worked. The music worked, and if this is just a strong Best Picture player, then score could be something that comes along with it. And finishing us off, no list would be complete without Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for The Killer. Is this movie strong? No, but it's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Worth mentioning along the same note, Alexandre Desplat, who did Asteroid City, as well as Naiad. Chris Bowers did the score for Origin, and it is excellent. Thomas Newman did Elemental, which people love that score, and maybe if we see a third animated film make its way into the race, Elemental would be the third one on the list. And another animated film worth mentioning is Wish, because we've seen Disney movies get that score nomination even as recently as Encanto. And I've heard amazing things about the All of Us Strangers score. I want to hear it for myself and ensure that it's being used enough through the movie. It could really sneak its way up and become one of our underdogs in the category.
That moves us over to Best Original Song, and if score is a clusterfuck, song is just a shithole, because we have no clue how this category ever goes unless there's one song that looks like a clear sweeper, and we thought we had that with this Wish from Wish, but the song is now out there. Disney is putting out one song each week in the lead up, and this just doesn't sound like a winner. So I don't know what to do with this category. Do I just stick it out, leave at number 1 before I hear some more of the other competitors? Do I throw something that we've already heard to number 1, even if I very much feel strong about their reasons not to win? Or do I put the song that we have yet to hear at my number 1? And I think I'm going to be stubborn and leave it at my number 1, even if I don't feel good about it at all, just because I want to see what the race looks like when we get later into the year. There's been songs before where I've heard them and they're the front runners or they're the preconceived winners and they just go on to win because it's song. This is a category where I feel like it's very easy just to be like, oh yeah, it's our winner. Let's just not think about it for the rest of the year. So I'm going to leave at number 1, but again, I don't feel good about it. Number 2 is a song that we have yet to hear yet from The Color Purple. If it's in the actual plot, like if they add a new song into the plot, I think it's win competitive. If it's a credit song, boot that thing out of here in my top 5. You're probably screaming out there, Barbie songs, Billie Eilish, give her number 2, I'm Just Ken, Song of the Year. And yeah, maybe it makes sense for me to switch over. However, I just don't see the Academy giving Billie number 2. And then Ken, on the other hand, I can see the angle for, but also see the people like, it's just a dumb song, which they have done before in the past. To me, if both songs make the lineup, one probably won't edge the other one out. I know Warner can be like, well, we want this one, but still, there's a passionate fan base for both where they could cancel each other out. And then number 5 is the one I'm most excited for, because this is the best song on the list here. It's Better Place from Trolls Band Together, the new NSYNC song. I'm putting it here because I think this song is very good. Will it get in? No. Trolls World Tour told me that when it had a banger SZA Justin Timberlake song. It didn't even make the short list. So that's probably what's going to happen to Better Place. But imagine this. I know we made the case for not to last year and it went on to win, but imagine NSYNC reuniting on the Oscar stage. First performance all together. Doesn't that sound cool? Shouldn't we put this in our lineup just to see that? I think so. You may notice something very, very, very stupid. I don't have Diane Warren in my top 5. She's down to number 6, and that's just because I want to put the Troll song in, and I didn't know what to kick out. So that's my top 6. I think we have 4 nominees in that 6. Honestly, Trolls probably won't get in, and I could see The Color Purple song just drop off a cliff, or Wish drop off a cliff. It's just a category where I don't really know what to do.
Wish won't drop off a cliff, but it could be a different song from Wish.
They're putting one out each and every week. This Wish, because it's the first one to come out, seems like the obvious push, but Disney, they don't always pick the song you think they're going to pick. Just look back to Encanto. Bruno was probably a winner. I don't know. I really like that Billie Eilish song, but
you know
Bruno
what? I'm going to be completely honest. I have a feeling the reason that they're releasing the songs before the movie this time is that they don't have another We Don't Talk About Bruno, where they don't know that a song is a massive hit until after they've already submitted it to the Oscars.
Or I don't think it's the Oscars. I think it's to build traction for the movie. If We Don't Talk About Bruno got TikTok fame and got radio play and people heard it ahead of time, Encanto would have made more money, but people didn't know. And honestly, when
Yeah,
Encanto first came
didn't
out.
get big until Disney Plus.
I still don't know if that strategy works unless you're getting radio stations to play, because I don't know what radio stations like, oh yeah, let's play the Disney animated song about the plot of the movie.
No, they're
not
hoping
going
for
to do that.
TikTok. That's what they're hoping for, TikTok. But TikTok won't catch on until people see the movie because people want context behind the songs. You are absolutely right that the biggest enemy to a Barbie win in this category is that the songs are competing against each other. And one of them is a ballad, being What Was I Made For, which is a beautiful song, would be my pick. At the same time, a lot of people would say I'm Just Ken is, if we're talking iconic, if we're talking like costumes earlier, what is the most iconic part of Barbie? It is I'm Just Ken. That is the thing people remember. That's what people talk about. I'm Just Ken defines the Barbie movie. If we're thinking about what could win, I'm Just Ken probably has a better angle over Billie Eilish getting a second one. But are they going to cancel each other out? I think I agree. They might cancel each other out.
We got to see what Warner Brother pushes, because we've seen in the past movies that had multiple songs like La La Land. They clearly picked one over the other. I think Audition's the best song in that movie, but they didn't pick Audition. They picked City of Stars, and City of Stars went on to win the award. So, like, I don't know. That's what we'll have to see from Warner Bros. What song do they want to win? And that's what song might, at the end of the day, end up winning. But at the moment, I have neither of them. So we did my top 6. Number 7 is a new entry to my list. It's It Never Went Away from American Symphony, the John Batiste doc. He recorded a brand new song for this. If this is a doc player, I think this could sneak into R5 for a nomination. I don't think this has a shot to win, but like, let's say American Symphony is like number 3 in doc. They could slide a song in for there. He has an Oscar to his name for the sole score. He's in the club. They'd be like, oh yeah, let's come in, especially if like The Color Purple doesn't have a song, or the Troll song's nothing. Diane Warren, they don't put up with her this year. There's space for it going down the list more. Little Mermaid song, ignore that. I just have it there because I want to. We have Road to Freedom from Rustin of Domingo is a big thing. Lenny Kravitz is cool. Maybe this can rise, but I don't think so.
The song is so forgettable.
That doesn't matter for this category. They'll put forgettable songs as long as there's a reason to put a forgettable song in there. And number 10, I have a What is the Across the Spider-Verse song that they pushed.
Am I Dreaming?
That will be a short list. We'll figure out what they put in the short list, and then maybe it can rise from there. But this category seems like it has 4 nominees, but at the same time, as I keep saying, Wish can drop. Barbie could miss one for some weird reason, or Color Purple just doesn't have anything. But at the moment, those 4 seem kind of good. Wonka, it fell off my list. I want to hear the songs before I just put them on my list, because as we talked about last week, the trailer is ignoring the fact that it's a musical. I know it is a musical, but they're not showing us any of the songs. So to me, that says like, we don't feel confident in a song. I thought that at least release one ahead of time, like Wish did.
They will.
Like build up traction. Maybe. I feel like
they will in
trailer
like
number
December.
2 is the time to put it out. And then Quiet Eyes, Past Lives. It makes our short list. Song does 15, so that's in the short list, but no shot of getting nominated. Think the Parasite song.
Now, for American Symphony, I have an argument for and against. So the argument for, American Symphony doesn't necessarily need to be in Best Documentary to get this nomination. We've seen documentaries get the nom in the past. For example, Chasing Ice. Same thing happened with the Diane Warren Till It Happens to You from The Hunting Ground. There's been plenty of songs from documentaries that they make the shortlist or the nomination without the documentary being really in contention. So even if American Symphony is not getting nominated, the song still has a chance. On the other hand, we often see in these documentaries that are artist profiles, like, for example, Gaga, 5'2", Billie Eilish, The World's a Little Blurry. Even if the artist kind of drops a song that goes with that, it doesn't necessarily mean it's getting in. And in fact, sometimes it might dissuade them from going with it. If it's like, this is a documentary about this musician, and now you're going to vote for that musician's new song that ties in as a promotional single to the movie about themselves. You don't need to nominate that type of song.
That's why I have it at number 7. It's not in my 5, but I think it's on the outside looking in.
I'll add 2 possibilities to the list. The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. We know that there's a Rachel Zegler song, which I'm not very confident in that Rachel Zegler song. We've heard some negative buzz about that track in general. The question is, do they have other artists doing songs for it that aren't Rachel Zegler? Because with the other Hunger Games movies, they had like Taylor Swift doing songs for it. Lorde did a song for the sequel, Catching Fire. So if we have some of those big pop artists doing a song for the Hunger Games, it could be at least a short list. Also, Peaches.
No, get that out of here.
Peaches.
Not Peaches. We have
Peaches.
another. We have meme.
Would
We
you
have better
rather
meme song.
Peaches? Would you rather Peaches or Sound of Freedom?
Sound of Freedom. It's more memes. It's better memes. Give me the Sound of Freedom shortlist submission because that would just make the internet cause ablaze. If Mario makes the shortlist, people are gonna be so like arrogant, like, oh my gosh, Peaches is happening, Peaches is good, Peaches blah blah blah. Like, no, fuck off.
If it hits the shortlist, people will be like, oh my god, Jack Black's winning the Oscar. Is Gonna Be You from 80 for Brady a movie song or is it a credit song?
Honestly, I don't remember its use in the movie at all. I would assume it's a credit song. My list of 5, I would have 4 movie songs and Who Knows What Better Place is because Can't Stop the Feelings in the movie.
Yeah.
And then the Trolls song from Trolls 2, the one with SZA, isn't in the movie. Like, that song's just not in the movie at all. The instrumental is, but the vocals aren't in the movie.
Wow, I swear it's... maybe that's why it didn't get a nomination.
Maybe, because I don't think it even made the short list.
I don't
So
think it made the
we'll
short
see.
list. Yeah.
We'll see what happens with Better
secret.
Place.
I haven't heard Better Place yet, so you've inspired me to. I should go check it out because I have really liked Justin Timberlake's work with the Trolls movies. The Trolls movies themselves are a cancer in popular media. I worked at a summer camp for years, and the amount of times you'd play an iconic classic song, and kids would be like, "It's from Trolls."
Trolls.
Like, no.
Trolls
September
World
is
Tour.
not from Trolls.
Trolls World Tour, I think, is awful. The first Trolls, I think it has its moments.
World Tour, I think, is much better than the first Trolls.
Interesting. Okay.
First
Well,
Trolls,
we'll see.
I think, is a 2 out of 10 movie. Trolls
We'll
World
see what
Tour
Band
is a
Together
4 out
is.
of 10. Yeah,
We'll see what Band Together is. Maybe it's a 10.
If it stays on the same trajectory, it's going to be a 6. That's the pattern. 2, 4, 6. And then, by Trolls 5, we'll have a perfect movie.
However, that is the end of our predictions today. If you made it this far, let us know what your thoughts are on the Trolls movies. Do you think they're a pile of garbage, or do you think they make good music? And we both think the music's good. The movie, not so much. But as always, this is Fantasy Filmball. My name is Dyl.
And my name is Matt. Thank you so much for watching.